Okay, we are picking up on Zayin Amud Aleph. We are 3 lines from the bottom. Okay, so the Gemara says, "Umatanas of Yonim." The Mishnah said that there's no difference between the first Adar and the second Adar except for reading the Megillah and Matanas of Yonim. So what is Matanas of Yonim? So the things that we take for granted because we've been doing this for so many years, but this is where it comes out. Taner Rab Yosef u'Mishloach Manos Ish L'Reu. It says that you're supposed to be sending portions to another person. Shtei manos, because manos is 2. So you're supposed to send 2 things to one person. Matanas of Yonim, and you're supposed to give matan. You're supposed to give gifts, plural again, to have Yonim, which is plural. So what do you learn from that? Shtei matanos or shnei bnei adam. You're supposed to give 2 gifts to 2 people, and the equivalent for matanas of Yonim is generally considered to be the amount that they would have to be able to eat a meal, a suda on Purim. So again, that's the amount you're supposed to be giving to 2 poor people on Purim, and you're supposed to be sending Mishalach Manos, your Yotze, you'll fulfill your obligation by just sending 2 things to one person. It has turned into sending 50 things to 50 people with a theme. So it does not. No, poor is it does not define poor.
What's the value?
What?
What's the value?
A meal. Whatever would be
$10?
what? Whatever would be a meal. You know, they say Sudas Purim. So
What type of meal? Because you can have a very simple meal, but you can have a very large.
I think the fact that they're saying that we should be doing a meal that they would eat on Purim means that it should not be simple. It should be, I would think it would be like a Yom Tif meal, like what you would give. What you would want to have, that's what you should be giving to someone else. You're not supposed to be stingy on Purim. That they say that. No, I'm serious. Like they say that anyone that asks, you're supposed to give without really like checking into it. So I think whatever if someone comes over, or if you're giving to the best thing is to give it to the rabbi's discretionary fund and let him give out the money to they know who to give it to. So okay. Anyway, so now a couple of interesting stories here. We're on Zayin Amud Aleph. So Rav Yehuda Nesiya Shadar Leila Ravoshia. Atra de Igla Tulasa. He would send him a calf that was the thigh of a calf that was a third born, which apparently was considered to be a very delicious delicacy. So Shalach Lei, returning to Zion Mabay, so he said back to him, Kiyam Tabanu Rabbeinu, Mishlach Manos Ish L'Rei, Matanas of Yonim. You were Makayim with this, both Mishalach Manos and Matanas of Yonim, because he was poor. So by sending it to the same person, he was able to fulfill both his obligations. Presumably, he was also sending something to someone else also, because again, we just said that Matanas of Yonim, you have to have 2 people that you're sending it to, but presumably, so he was doing that. Rabba Sharu Leila Mari Bar Mar B'Yad Abaye. So Rabba sent with Abaye, he made him his messenger, and he sent him a portion to Mari Bar Mar of Mishalach Manos on Purim. So what did he send him? Malei Taska de Kavsha, Umalei Kasa Kimcha Davushna. He sent him a basket filled with dates, and it was a cup filled with like some sort of roasted flour. It was a very sweet dish. So Amalei Abaye, so Abaye says to Rabba, as he was sending him this dish, he said to him, Ichalakta Malka Lahevi, when a poor person becomes the king, he doesn't remove the basket from around his neck. Meaning, you're sending him a very cheap shalach manos, and you've already become like the head of the yeshiva. You're very prestigious, so it's really not befitting for you to be sending such a cheap dish. Like the orange and the thing of Winkies that you sent when you didn't have any money. You should be sending something better now. So what happened? So he brought him this dish. So Mari Bar Mar then sent back to Rabbah Mali Taska de Zanvala Umali Kasa de Pilpula Aricha. He sent him back a basket that was filled with ginger and a cup with these long peppers in it, and that was like it was a sharper dish. So Amar Abai, Abai again the messenger, Abai said, Hashta Amar Mar. For that he's going to say that I sent him sweet foods and he sent me back bitter ones. So Abai says, Amar Abai, Kinafki mi beimar havasavana. When I left Rabba's house originally, I was already full. I was already satiated. Kimati lahasam, when I got to Mari Bar Mar's house, so krivuli shit inside the sheets in minei gedera. They brought me 60 plates with 60 different types of foods on it. And again, there could be some exaggeration when you see these numbers in the Gemara. Sometimes it means that there's a sense of exaggeration going on. But achli b'hushit and plugi, and I ate from the 60 dishes. I ate one thing off of each and every dish. Ubishula basraisa, and the last thing that they gave me, havakar le tzli keder. They called it pot roast, which That's a pretty good last dish to finish up with. And after I ate that, I still wanted to eat all the plates. Like, that's how hungry I was. And a poor person doesn't know how hungry he is when he's hungry, because Abai really, like, he was coming from Rabba's house, who didn't have a lot of money really, but he was prestigious, so he thought I'm already full when I left his house. But then when you get to a rich person's house and you start eating and you see the food that they got, then you really realize what the food is. Inami, rafchel levisma shchiach, as we all know that when there's always room for dessert. That's the bottom line, that he was able to eat even afterwards. So the Mefarshim say that this is not referring to eating food, it's referring to the Torah. Meaning that when he left Rabba's house, he thought that he was full already with Torah, and then he went to Mari Bar Mar's house and he saw that he was able to learn even more Torah as well. Okay. Abai Baravin, Rav Chanina Baravin, Mechafle Sudasi Ladadi. These two, they exchanged their Purim sudas with each other. They were not wealthy people, so in order to be Mekayim the mitzvah of Mishalach Manos and Matanos of Yonim, also they would sit. One of them, they cooked the suda in each other's houses, and then they gave them over to each other, and that way they were able to fulfill the mitzvah of Mishalach Manos and Matanos of Yonim. Okay, now this is like the Gemara that every yeshiva guy knows. Amar Rava, Mechayev Inish Vusume Bepuria. A person is supposed to become totally drunk until he doesn't know the difference between Arur Haman and Baruch Mordechai. And the Mefarshim say either this means that you're supposed to be able to be so drunk that you can't say that, like repeat it over and over again, or there was a poem that they used to say, like someone would shout out a bunch of different, a line from a poem, and depending on what he was saying, they would either say Arur Haman or Baruch Mordechai. So the idea is that you're supposed to be drinking so much that when they're saying it, like he was a big tzaddik, Arur Haman, like you're not going to know who it is that you're referring to. That's how much you're supposed to be drinking. But before you get drunk on Purim, the Gemara brings down a story now, which is again also an incredible story on Purim. Rabba v'Rav Zera of the Sudas Purim b'Hadi Adadi. Rabba and Zera eating the Purim meal together. Ibasum, they got drunk. So come Rabba Shchate l'Rav Zera. So Rabba got up and he shechted Rav Zera. Okay, so the Purim Suda they were having a great time, and he shechted Reb Zera. So what happened? So the next day, Rabba saw that he had killed Reb Zera. So he's like, I guess they cleaned up from around them, and they're sitting there on the table. So he saw that he had killed Reb Zera. So he davened to Hashem, and he revived him, and he brought him back. So Lashana Amarle, the next year, Rabba says to Reb Zera, hey, Nesi Bahar V'Nevet Sudas Purim B'Hadi. Let's go. Hey, last year was great. Let's go do Purim. Let's go do Purim again. So Amarle Lo B'Chol Shaita V'Shaita Mischar Nisa. No, it's not every year that a Nes is going to happen. How about you do you and I'll do me, and and the two shall meet together. And again, the Mefarshim say this doesn't necessarily mean that he killed him. Some say that it meant that he got him, because again, the Gemara is talking about this is being brought down right after Chayiv Adam Levasumi, that a person is supposed to get drunk. It means that he got him so drunk that he was into alcohol poisoning, maybe, and so maybe it was like he davened when he saw that he was close to death, that he was so sick, and maybe the next year Abzer was saying, you know what, I think I learned my lesson last year, me and alcohol we don't mix. So they say it doesn't literally mean that he killed him, but either way, it just means you got to be careful when you're drinking on Purim.
You do this on the don't drink and drive.
I am sure that they're aware of this Gemara, and they've tried to incorporate it into it. Amar Rava. Sudas Purim she'achla b'layla. If someone eats the Suda Purim at night, lo yatsi de'chavas. You're not yatsi yechiv to eat the Suda, and you have to eat again another one the next day. My time, and what's the reason? Because the pasuk says, "Yimei mishta v'simcha," that the day of eating and drinking, the day of eating and celebrating, because it says you're supposed to do it in the day and not at night. Rav Ashi Havi Yosef Kamei, Rav Kahana. Rav Ashi was sitting for Rav Kahana, and Rav Kahana was wondering where everyone was. Nagav L'Asar Rabbanan, and he saw that the his students hadn't yet come. It was Purim, but he saw that the students had come to the Beis Medrash. So Amar Lei, so Rav Ashi says to Rav Kahana, my time L'Asar Rabbanan, why haven't they come yet? So he said, Dilma treated B'Sudas Purim. So Rav Kahana said, maybe they're busy with eating the Purim Suda, and that's why they're not here in the Beis Medrash learning. So Amar Lei, so he said back to him, they could have eaten it last night. Why are they eating it during the day now, and now they're not learning? So Amar Lei, so Rav Kahana said back to him, Lo Shmiya Lei Lamar Hadam Rava. Didn't you hear what he said? That Sudas Purim Sha'achal B'Layla Lo Yatsi Dechavasa, that if you eat at night, you don't fulfill your obligation. You have to eat the Purim Suda during the day. So Amar Lei, Amar Rabba Hachi, did he really say that you can only eat it during the day and not at night? Amar Lei, and he said he did say it. Tanamine Arban Zimni, he learned it from him 40 times. V'damilei Kamad Demanach B'kisan, it's like he put it in his pocket, like he put it in his wallet. It was very secure for him, so he learned it over and over again to know the halacha that the Suda of Purim has to be done during the day and not during the night. Okay, we are now going to do a couple of Mishnayos now, which have nothing to do with Masechtas Megillah, but again, the last Mishnah said that there's no difference between Adar Rishon and Adar Sheni, so now the Mishnayos that we're doing now is going to be giving a series of Ein Bains, that there's no difference between this and that, except for, there's no difference between A and B, except for C. So the first Mishnah says, Ein ben Yom Tif l'Shabbos ela ochel nefesh bilvad. The only difference between Shabbos and Yom Tif is the permissibility to be able to prepare to cook foods on Yom Tif. You could do it on Yom Tif and you can't do it on Shabbos. This is not talking about. Rashi says we're not talking about for punishment, meaning there's a lot of things that the punishment is different on Shabbos and what it is on Yom Tif. But it's just talking about in terms of what the actions, the activities that you are or not allowed to do. The only difference is going to be that you're in terms of food preparation. That on Shabbos you're not allowed to do it, and on Yom Tov you are allowed to do it. So Gemara says, when it comes to preparing the foods, then Shabbos and Yom Tov are both equal. That you're not allowed to do them. So who's that like? Masis and Lo Krab Yehuda. The Tani we learned Ein ben Shabbos and Yom Tif Ela Ochel Nefesh. The only difference between Shabbos and Yom Tif is the food preparation. Rabbi Yehuda Matir Af Machshirei Ochel Nefesh. That even the preparation is also allowed. Preparation is, for example, meaning you're allowed to cook on Yom Tif, but you're not allowed to make all the ingredients. You can't go out to the fields and cut the wheat that you need to get, and whatever they were doing to make, like they want to make challah, let's say. So you could bake challah on Yom Tif if the flour is already there. You cannot go out to the fields and start doing all the things that get the food ready for the preparation. That you're not allowed to do. My time at the Tanna Kama, so what's the Tanna Kama that says that only that you're not allowed to do the preparation, not allowed to do it? Amar Kra, who? That it says in the pasuk. It's ashiyach l'chol nefesh hu levado yaseh lechem. That it is only that you're allowed to do. So who is telling you that only the food prep you're allowed to do, but you're not allowed to do the preparation before that? Rabbi Yehuda Amar, and he says lachem. It says lachem l'chol tzorcheichem. That it says that when it says in the pasuk lachem, it means that you're able to do everything that you need. Not only are you allowed to cook the food on Yom Tif, you're also able to prepare the stuff beforehand. So, for example, if let's say the knife is you need to sharpen the knife, you're able to sharpen the knife beforehand in order to be able to shech the animal. Let's say you're able to do that as well because it says in the pasuk lachem. So anything you need for you, you're allowed to do. So Gemara asks on the Tanna Kama, why does he say that you can't do the preliminary stuff? It also says lachem, which you should be able to translate that way to learn to do everything. So he answers lachem v'lo la'avdei kochavim, lachem v'lo la'klavim. No, lachem is telling you that on Yom Tif, and this is actually a very important halach l'maisa, that you are only able to prepare food for you. You are not allowed to prepare food for non-Jews. You're not allowed to prepare food for your animals. So people have to be very careful when they're inviting over. Sometimes they have company for Yom Tif that are not Jewish. You are not allowed to cook for a non-Jew on Yom Tif. That's I think again. What? Different story. But if let's say the only person that you're having as a guest, is a non-Jew. Again, I'm not a rabbi, so you can ask your local Orthodox rabbi. But I believe that the halacha is that you have to be very careful. Not everyone knows that because they say, well, once I'm allowed to cook, then I'm able to do it. But the reality is that lachem teaches you that you cannot cook for a non-Jew. Because it says in the pasuk lachem. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, he says lachem means that for you, you're able to do it. Lachem meaning for Jews, but not for non-Jews and not for also not for animals. Yeah, well, we're going back to the difference between Shabbos and Yom Tif. So Shabbos you can't do for anybody, and Yom Tif you could do it, but even on Yom Tif there's the limitations to who you're able to do it for. Gemara says so. The Gemara asks now the other way. According to Rabbi Yehuda, haksiv who, it says who. So why does he say? So where does he learn out that not for the preliminary food also? The Gemara says ksiv who uksiv lachem. He also agrees that, let's say, for example, sharpening the knife. Okay, you want to sharpen the knife to shecht an animal. if you should have done it before Yom Tov started. If you didn't do it, you cannot do it once even though he says that you could do preliminary food prep, you could prepare, that's only if you didn't have time, you weren't able to do it before Yom Tov started. But if you did have time, like let's say for example, you sharpen the knife before Yom Tov, and then you're going to shech the animal, and you see that the knife is nicked. So you got to fix that. You got to fix. But if you never sharpen the knife before Yom Tov, he would agree and say that you're not allowed to do that before Yom Tov either. Okay, next Mishnah. Ein bein Shabbos Yom Kippurim. There's no difference between Shabbos and Yom Kippur. That this, if you do something deliberately on Shabbos, you are punished. You get a punishment by Bezdin. And if you do something, an action b'meizin on Yom Kippur, you're going to get kares b'dei shemayim, but you do not get punished down here from Bezdin. And again, we're just talking about in terms of punishment. Obviously, there's a lot of differences. There's things that you cannot do on Yom Kippur. The 5 things you're not allowed to do on Yom Kippur: achila shtia, nilas hasandol, tashva shamita, and sicha, right? And to anoint, you're not able to do any of those things. Right now, we're just talking about in terms of punishment. So the Gemara says, Haleini tashlumin zev zeh shavim. When it comes to paying, we say that they're the same. So Rashi brings down that there's a concept in the Gemara that we've had in different places called kamle b'derabamine, that you if you have a choice of 2 punishments, you get the greater one, and then you don't have to do the easier one. So what does that mean? Let's say a person burns down a field he sets a fire on Shabbos in someone's field, and he burns down the field. So he's chayav for burning because he lit a fire on Shabbos. He's chayav misa. Okay. At the same time, he also damaged someone's property, and in theory, he should be paying that person back for the damage that he did to his property. So we say kam lebed rabine. He gets the greater punishment. He gets the misa. He gets killed, and then the damage that was done to the property, he's not liable for that. So the Gemara is saying that Lini Tashlum and Zev Hashem, we say that they're both the same, that both on Shabbos, if someone did something b'mezid, where he's being punished by Bezdin, he doesn't have to pay for the wheat field that he burned. So too, if someone did something on Yom Kippur, if he burnt a field on Yom Kippur, then he would not have to pay for even though he's not getting a punishment. The kares is that a person, they die younger, their children are going to die younger as well, but you don't see that happening. It's all done b'dei shemaim. It all happens, upstairs. It's not something the peasant does down here. But we're saying that they're the same, that if, let's say, the person on Yom Kippur will go ahead and light this field on fire, you don't see right now any punishment happening to him, but at the same time, he does not have to pay for the field because one day he's going to be getting kares, and therefore, because he's going to get that greater punishment, he doesn't have to. He doesn't pay now for the damage that he did. So, Mani Masnis, who's our Mishnah going like Reb Nechunya ben Akanahi, the Tani that we learned in a Mishnah in a Brisa. Reb Nechunya ben Akana hayosas Yom Kippurim k'Shabbos l'tashuma, that he would say that Yom Kippur and Shabbos, he would make Yom Kippur like Shabbos as far as what you would have to pay back. That ma Shabbos mischai benasho upatim and tashuma, just like Shabbos. Again, when someone sets a field on fire, they are chai with their nefesh that they're going to be killed by Bezdin, but they're not going to have to pay for the damage that they did to the field. After Yom Kippur, mischai benasho upatim and tashuma, and so too that if someone sets a field on fire on Yom Kippur, they're going to be chayav from Bezdin. They're going to get kares, and they don't have to pay for the field now. So our Mishnah is going like Reb Chanani ben Akana. Tanan Hasan, we learned in another Mishnah, that all those who got kares are going to be patur once they get their the malchus, that the lashes that they're supposed to be getting, they no longer are going to get their kares. Why? Shenamar, it says in the pasuk, v'nikla achicha leinecha, that your brother is going to be he's going to be punished in your eyes. What does that mean? That kivan shalaka harihuka achicha. Once he got the malchus that you were giving out to him, once he got the lashes, he's like achicha again. He's like your brother. So therefore, we learned from this that there was because the halacha is that when someone would do that, even though we said that you don't do any punishment because you're going to be getting kares, but if someone they would give them malchus, which was very painful. Once they get the malchus, then they're considered like achicha again, and we said that they wouldn't be getting the kares. Divrei Reb Chananya ben Gamliel. That's what Reb Chananya ben Gamliel says. Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan says, Chalukan alav chaver Reb Chananya ben Gamliel. They argue the people that we just learned in this Mishnah. They argue on that. Why? Amar Rava Amri Beirav. Tanina, we learned from a Mishnah. Ein ben Yom Kippurim l'Shabbos el shezeh zedonu b'nei Adam v'zeh zedonu b'ikares. So we said that there's no difference. We just learned in the Mishnah a similar thing that there's no difference in Yom Kippur and Shabbos, except someone who does something b'mezid on Shabbos is going to be punished by Bezdin, and someone that does something on Yom Kippur b'mezid is going to be punished b'dei Shemayim. But if you say that you're going to be getting malchus, that even if someone burns a field on Yom Kippur, that they're going to get malchus anyway, so iri b'dei Adam. So then both Yom Kippur and Shabbos are the same, the punishment is the same. They are going to be getting punishment b'dei Adam. It's not just going to be b'dei Shemayim. So Gemara says maybe that's not a proof. Amar Rav Nachman, Hamani, Rabbi Yitzchak, it's going to look Rabbi Yitzchak. The Amar Malchus b'chai b'krisus leka, that there is no penalty for Malchus when it comes to kares. He argues, Titania, because we learned and it's talking about for arayos. The pasuk goes through all the different relationships they're not allowed to do, and it says so it says that all of these relationships that we said they were all under one general category of don't do them. Like they're the disgusting acts of immorality. You're not supposed to do it. And what happened? So then another pasuk comes out and it says, and also you shouldn't have a relationship with your sister. She was already included in the kol harayos in the other pasuk. So why did it bring it out? Why did it separate out the sister? So laduna b'kares v'lo malchus. It's teaching you that you only get kares and you don't get malchus. So this Mishnah is arguing. This Tan is arguing with what we were just saying before. So we could say that it could really be going like Rabbi Yitzchak. And let's just finish up two more lines to the Mishnah. Rav Ashi Amar, Afilu Tem Rabban. You could even say it's going to Rabbanon. Zeh ikr zedona b'dei Adam, v'zeh ikr zedona b'kares. That you are going to be giving malchus. He holds you are giving lashes to him, but the main punishment is still coming from Shemayim, and that's worse than getting a punishment b'dei Adam. Even though b'dei Adam is doing a ancillary, I guess like an ancillary punishment for him, but the real punishment's coming from B'dei Shemayim, and that's going to be much worse. Okay, we'll stop here.